Take a look at that. How beautiful is this? There's some Fugates right here. Hannah Fugate Tharp. William Benjamin Tharp. And here's the children right here. Fugate twin boys. Died 1795. Very unique. I've never seen graves like this before. These are unique. Now this one here this was a tough one. Some of them are tough. They're all tough for various reasons. They all have their unique challenges finding the information or the grave or even the area sometimes. But this one here, this is our 4th attempt to come and get this story for you guys, to come and, you know, document these graves and tell this story. The first time, I don't even remember what happened. It was last fall while we had to cancel. And then not long ago, we have, you know, older dogs, so we had a babysitter, and the babysitter had to cancel. So then we started to do it last week, and the entire roof blows off my carport. So I wound up spending 2 days tearing my whole carport off. So yay. But today we are in Lost Creek, Kentucky, in Breathitt County, not far from Hazard, as in Dukes of, yes. What brings us here today is a story a lot of you probably heard about, and some probably don't even realize that it is actually a true story. But this is where legend meets reality, right? Today we are diving into the story of the Blue Fugate family of Kentucky, also known as the Blue People. First, the legend. The short version is Martin Fugate Sr., born around 1780, migrated here from France to claim a land grant in the 1820s. Martin had a genetic condition that increased. Now, I'm going to have to ask you guys to bear with me. I'm going to get a little bit technical just for a second. I'll try not to get too carried away here. Get comfortable. Martin had a genetic condition that increased the methemoglobinemia in his blood. This gives you a bluish color. His wife Sarah was very white, you know, pale almost, but she also carried the recessive gene that was required to have blue babies. Of their 7 children, it is said that 4 came out like blueberries. Because of this, they were feared and rejected by some in mainstream society. So basically they were exiled to the hills, more or less, where they lived in seclusion with a limited supply of people to marry and have children with, obviously. As the story goes, there was inbreeding. Now this is partly true, as it happened often in all areas of the country, you know, cousins and so forth. But as it was mainly first cousins or distant relatives, versus the way the Fugates were painted as marrying their sisters and so on, which was rejected strongly by the Fugate family, and I'm sure it was a little bit insulting as well. But looking into this legend for ourselves, there are some obvious holes that we wanted to point out. Martin's mother, Hannah, was supposedly born in 1760 in Virginia. She died, according to the death index, at 100 years old from a fever. Also, Martin has twin brothers buried here that were killed by Native Americans in 1795. But how were they here? Martin didn't come until 1820. So right away, that story is debunked. He certainly didn't come from France in 1820. He was born here, most likely, since rail lines or paved roads didn't make it out here to Troublesome Creek for nearly a century. The blue recessive gene was passed down to generations of Fugates and even some of the neighboring families, all of whom came to be known as the Blue People of Kentucky. Now, if you stayed awake and paid attention in high school biology, you might remember that blood is red because blood cells are packed with proteins called hemoglobin. Now, I'll try to go easy on the technical stuff here, but, you know, whatever. Hemoglobin gets its red color from a compound called heme that contains an iron atom. That iron atom binds with oxygen, which is how red blood cells circulate oxygen throughout the body. Oxygen, or lack of oxygen, is what turns the blood from red to blue in people with methemoglobinemia. Okay? A mutated gene causes their bodies to build up a rare form of hemoglobin called methemoglobinemia that can bond with oxygen. If enough blood is infected with this faulty type of hemoglobin, it changes from red to an almost purplish dark blue. For the Fugates, though, the family members express the gene to varying degrees. If their blood had a lower concentration of methaglobulin, they might only have a bluish tint in cold weather, while people with higher concentrations were bright blue from head to toe. Okay, methemoglobinemia is one of the rare genetic conditions that is treatable with a simple pill. The man who discovered the cure for this was named Madison Caldwell III, a hematologist, a blood doctor, at the University of Kentucky, who heard tales of the Blue People and went looking for them in the 1960s. He got lucky when a brother and sister named Patrick and Rachel Ritchie walked into a Hazard County clinic. They were bluer than hell, Caldwell said in a 1982 interview with Science 82. I started asking them questions. Do you have any relatives who are blue? Then I sat down and we began to chart the family. He remembered that the Ritchie siblings were really embarrassed about being blue. However, the disorder didn't seem to cause any special health problems. The condition was clearly genetic, but the key for Cowan was reading reports of this same hereditary condition among isolated Inuit populations in Alaska, where blood relatives, often married. He knew the same thing was happening in this secluded corner of Appalachia. The solution, oddly enough, was a commonly used dye called methylene blue. He injected it into the Ritchie siblings with 100 milligrams of the blue dye and didn't have to wait long to see results. Within a few minutes, the blue color was gone from their skin, Cowan said. For the first time in their lives, they were pink and they were delighted. When young people started moving away from the farms surrounding Troublesome Creek here in the mid-20th century, they took their recessive blue genes with them. Over time, fewer and fewer babies were born blue, and those that were took a methylene blue pill once a day to put pink back in their cheeks. It takes two people with the same recessive gene to make a blue baby, so it's extremely rare at this point in history. Another interesting story was a woman named Haney Nancy Moonbeam Fugate. Her maiden name was Noble. Born in 1790 in Virginia. She was the daughter of George Buckeye Noble Jr. and Julie Missy Winnie Noble Saunders by birth, the wife of Levi Fugate. Family lore passed down and also checked by DNA with dozens of cousins is that Levi Fugate married a blue Cherokee in Virginia and moved to Tennessee with his brother after his wife killed another woman. Was there a tribe of blue Cherokee? Well, I guess anything is possible if it happened before, right? Nancy eventually died right here in Breathitt County. This was all way before Martin is said to have came here. The problem is, and we find this pretty much 100% of the time, is people literally just copy and paste a story, whether it's true or not. It doesn't really matter. It's easy and it requires no thought to copy and paste. Also, people don't like to go outside of what's considered normal thinking. So anyone doing a Fugate story just says, yep, they came from France in 1820, and it's repeated hundreds of times from there. In reality, the blue people of Kentucky were just like you and me for the most part. Their lives, though, have become legend and part truth. Like most things, though. But one thing rings true. They lived and loved and died right here in Lost Creek, Kentucky, leaving behind a memory that won't be forgotten, as we even speak their names right now. And lots of Fugates still carry Martin's bloodline today, all over the country. Just as a side note, the famous painting of the blue Fugates that everyone is so familiar with is not based on an actual family photograph. It was a composite illustration created by a man named Walt Spitzmeyer for the Science 82 magazine article. But to me, it's just strange that, a lot of this kind of stuff, stigma, I mean, these were perfectly normal people, country folks. They lived out in the country and enjoyed it, and I can see why, for sure. The only odd thing was they simply had this recessive gene. That's it. It was just a recessive gene. And you see that a lot in today. People tend to fear things and worry and concern about things that aren't like them, that are different. And I guess that's fairly common. But like I said, sometimes you have to think outside the box. You have to ask questions about things that are sometimes taken for granted, things that everyone just assumes is the truth. And sometimes you have to just, like I said, think outside the box and question things that, not just question the answer, question the question, if that makes any sense. But anyway, we came a long way to find this, and about 2 hours each way. So look at that hewn stone, guys. Check that out. Wow. Imagine what it took to carve those slabs out of rock. Look at that. You just don't see stuff like that anymore, do you? That looks like something, I don't even have the right word, Jurassic. It's like something off of Fred Flintstone or something, from the Flintstones. This looks like it's that old. This one here looks like the walls have collapsed. You can see the walls that it used to stand on. This was up on top of that and across here. But you can see this wall has moved out, and the top has just came straight down on this one. And this is a Haddocks. This is John Haddocks, 1718 to 1798. Wow. I guess that explains why it's collapsed in, doesn't it? That's an old grave, isn't it? And this is a Haddocks, There's no first name or birth date, but it says 1798 was the death date. And just so anybody's curious, you know, you can't like look in there and see a coffin or anything, just in case anybody's curious about that. The coffin itself, the grave, the coffin is under the ground, you know, just like a regular grave. And then this is placed over top of it, you know. Henley Haddocks, born 1780 in Virginia, died 1856 here at Lost Creek, Kentucky.
So this is Captain William S. Landrum, Kentucky's 13th Cavalry, June 9th, 1838 to September 12th, 1904. Now this is Rebel Shade Combs, 1928. July 28th of 1838 to January 25th of 1891. Rest, soldier, rest, thy warfare is over. And his name was Shadrach Combs. Lieutenant of the 13th Kentucky Cavalry, Confederate States. Private Ambrose Watts, Company B, 5th Kentucky Infantry, April 2nd, 1843 to July 24th, 1920. McGagger, Grigsby, July 13th, 1853 to July 29th, 1942. Emmeline Grigsby, March 30th, 1852 to May 23rd, 1920. William Smith, November 12th, 1835 to October 31st, Halloween, 1886. Missed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. He was a captain of the 13th Kentucky Cavalry.
Okay, well guys, I guess this ends our little journey today out to find the Fugate family.
It's been fun.
It has.
These cemeteries, they really take really good care of them down here, I must say.
Yeah.
That's not everywhere, you know.
Apparently the 4th time is the charm, isn't it? 4 attempts to get here, but we made it eventually.
You know, it took longer to get here than GPS said it would. So I think next time we do something like this, it's so we could do so much here. I think we need to spend the night, but we can't tonight because we usually don't have anyone to watch our dogs. So
yeah, we usually will come out someplace like this where it's so far out. We'll camp and do several stories in the area, but like I said, we've had trouble getting to this one, and we really wanted to come out and do a story about the Blue Fugate family, so we just made it work. But anyway, guys, we certainly appreciate y'all coming along. Hope you've enjoyed the story and some of the beautiful scenery out here today.
Yeah, it's a pretty day. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is. Dad? We will see you guys next time on the Hillbilly Files, and you guys have a wonderful day. Leo out.
You forgot to say hillbillies out of Troublesome Creek, Lost Creek, Kentucky. How often are we here? Now, hillbillies out. Bye, guys. Thank you.
See you guys later. Okay, what's the easiest way through here? Probably around the back. This is the Fugate Family Fun Center. Let's see if we can get around here. Nope. Can't get around that. Well, I guess maybe around there. I just want to get around the wall so you can see the slide and stuff. Tourists are not welcome. It's a good thing we're not tourists, right? Check it out. An old slide. Look at that. That is really cool. Just imagine this back in its heyday. Men's room. I'm guessing, yeah, there's the women's room. Lockers out here. Pool. Look at that. The old haunted train ride or something. You can see little cars right there. Slide over here. This is pretty cool. The Fugate Family Fun Center. Fugate Entertainment Center is the name of it. Right up there. Fugates. Looks like it's been a while, doesn't it? How cool is that though? Big slide up there. Cool little spot. Anyway, we just saw this on the way. And thought, yeah, you gotta stop there just for a second, if nothing else. Alright.